the last time we spoke to you in June, things were not quite settled down in terms of what would happen with this coming academic year. And you got the directive from Education Minister Zach Churchill in mid-July. Can you give me a little bit of a sense of what that process was like leading up to that announcement, and whether you feel the Strait Regional Centre for Education and its schools were adequately heard in those conversations? What was all that like?
Well, the plan that was launched by Minister Churchill in July really was a result of a number of meetings and consultations that led up to that point. So the back to school plan was developed with input from the regional centers for education, from public health, from advice from experts at the IWK Health Center, from feedback from our union partners, from teachers, principals, families, and students. And back in June, Nova Scotia parents and students were asked to complete an online survey to share their experience with regards to at-home learning during the pandemic. And participation in that survey, there was about 28,000 surveys that were received from parents and guardians and students regarding their at-home learning experience, and really their needs and suggestions for improvement, as a result of what we went through back in the spring. So the survey asked, a number of questions, and respondents were given the opportunity to provide answers to that. And we certainly really appreciated families taking the time to provide their input so improvements and adjustments could be made. All of this feedback really helped to inform the back to school plan, and as well, many of our SRCE staff were directly part of the planning team for the plan, so I believe we had lots of really positive and good input into the development of the plan.
All right. Well, with all that in mind then, can you give me a bit of a snapshot on how things are going overall as you and your school principals and staff and all the schools in the Strait region are preparing for the reopening? What can you tell me about how that process is going at this particular point in August?
Well, I believe that our preparations are going well. We're really guided by the principles of the plan, which is safety of the students and staff, first and foremost, the equity for all of our learners, so trying to be responsive to all of our student needs. And really the plan offers flexibility for us to adapt to changing circumstances that may arise if necessary. So our priority, as we know, is to ensure the safe return of students and staff into in-class learning in September. Full return, and we are working with the province to ensure that we have what we need to implement the plan and make sure that we have required face masks, additional sanitizer, and personal protective equipment in our schools. And we're very thankful to the province. They've provided the personal protective equipment for our regional center, so that's been a very positive partnership for us. And we are in close contact with public health officials through the Department of Education and Early Childhood Development. And we're following their guidance and advice to implement the public health measures to prepare for school opening in September.
We know some of the directives that have come down from both the Department of Education and from Public Health, but can you help put it in plain English and help paint a picture for those who are wondering how is this going to work in terms of social distancing in the classroom, in terms of being able to carry out curriculum, even in terms of enforcing the wearing of masks by children from ages grade primary to grade 12. What can you tell us about essentially what a school in the Strait Regional Centre for Education system or any across the province is going to look like in the fall?
Well, there are going to be certainly changes when students and staff return to school in the fall. It's not going to look the same. There are going to be some changes. They'll notice when they come back. Obviously, when they get on the bus in the morning, they'll be required to wear masks, and and their drivers will be required to wear masks, and they'll sit as a family unit together on the bus as best as possible. And when they arrive at school, there certainly will be some changes. There'll be staggered recesses and lunch times, and slight changes to other schedules to reduce really the number of students in the hallways at any given time. So there'll also be cohorting and grouping in elementary schools. So basically, it'll be teachers to students and not students to teachers. So a lot less travel within the hallways and so on. We're doing our best right now to try to create more space with students within their own classrooms. So reducing any excess furniture or furniture that we can remove in there, so we do gain some more room in there. We'll consider using separate exits and entrances within buildings so that students aren't all funneling out through one entrance or exit. And they'll also see certainly lots of increased signage for reminders, decals on floors for reminders about physical distancing and good health practices, and frequent hand washing, cough and sneeze etiquette. Very similar to what we see out in the public, but probably a little bit more. Also, they'll be noticing, we'll be doing frequent and enhanced cleaning of high-touch surfaces in common areas, requiring masks in common areas for high school students and staff on buses, as we mentioned earlier, for staff as well, and for high school students when they're changing classes. And also, we'll have personal protective equipment where needed, and lots of, or I shouldn't say lots, but many hand sanitizing stations located throughout the school, so students can have that. Really, our focus is going to be clean in and clean out. So, as you enter the building, you clean, or as you change classrooms, those types of things. Basically, cleaning in and cleaning out. So when you're leaving your space, you wash your hands, or you're prepared to, and when you're coming in, clean your hands as well. So lots of changes with that. Lots more attention, Adam, really on those basic things that we're all sort of doing, both at home and when we're doing our business out in public. Similar things to that, but really trying to, I guess, control movement a little bit better within our school buildings.
Paul, just picking up on that, there have been suggestions both from the provincial government and from the Department of Education, but also just in general around the community, to say to parents, if your children aren't used to wearing masks now, they're never going to get used to wearing masks on the first day of school in September. You can't just rush and get a mask or get a roll of paper towel as you're getting ready to get on the bus. So is that something that the Centre for Education is saying as well to the parents, to say, get your children ready, this is going to be a back to school time unlike any other back to school time in the past?
Yeah, I think so. Adam, going back to school, we want it to be a really positive experience for our students and our staff and our parents, and our community as well. It's a positive thing. We've been out of school for a long time, and we want it to be a really positive and exciting thing for our students to experience. So we've added masks to our school supply list. We've added water bottles because we're going to be asking students to use their water bottles at refill stations. So all kinds of little things like that. And I think as a society right now, we're all getting used to wearing masks. I think it was great timing for Dr. Strang to ask us to begin to start doing that, well ahead of school starting. So, within our communities, we're all getting used to putting on our masks to go into public places. I think really when you look at our own communities, there's been tremendous compliance really with people, respecting that request from public health and from the province. So, generally, I think it's going to be positive. It's going to look a little differently, but I'm sure that our students and staff and parents are going to be really excited for the start of the school year.
All right. Just a quick question on busing, Paul. You'd mentioned a couple of moments ago that students are expected to wear their masks on the buses and to be able to space themselves out as best they can. What are the conversations like with the bus drivers and with their union? And I understand that these could be sensitive talks as a result of it being talks between the Centre for Education and the union. Do you get the sense that there could be any rerouting involved in terms of any of the students or the schools, or do you expect to be able to make the status quo in that regard?
I believe at this point, Adam, the plan is that we will go with status quo, that busing will be available to all of our students, children from pre-primary to grade 12, as we've provided in the past. And, because physical distancing was not always possible as per the public health order, students whose parents want them to ride the bus will be required to wear non-medical masks, as will drivers. But we believe that obviously in September sometimes we have to make routing changes just due to that's just a normal transition that we do from year to year, and sometimes in the first couple of weeks in September we have to make little changes to bus routing and that sort of thing. But at this point we haven't planned any routing changes due to COVID protocols or anything like that.
How much of this plan, Paul, is based on the concept of a best case scenario? And we know that Nova Scotia and the Atlantic provinces in general have done well in containing COVID-19 over the past couple of months, but we also know that there are repeated predictions of a second wave or of smaller outbursts. What happens in the event of a second wave or a small outburst of COVID-19 anywhere in Nova Scotia, but especially in the Strait region?
So the back to school plan has response plans in place should any of the COVID-19 activity change, and any decision to change the approach to school will follow public health guidelines. So we will take our lead from Dr. Strang and the team at Nova Scotia Public Health as how to respond.
Last question to you, Paul, and this is about the idea that you've now presided, as have your principals and teachers and staff, over the complete shutdown of a school system, but also now you're getting ready for the complete reopening of a school system. Is there anything that you feel you've learned from the shutdown that you feel you can carry forward positively into the reopening, or do these compare at all?
Well, it's certainly uncharted territory for all of us. We were certainly in one place in the spring, and that was we were all sort of working from home or sort of a hybrid of both, or some of us were back at work. But it's really a fluid situation that we're working through. It was great that we got to summer and we got to be able to get out and move around a lot more. I think that's been great for everyone really in our communities. And we will closely continue to adjust our routines in light of the ongoing pandemic. We'll continue to work closely together to implement the plan and the ongoing public health measures to prevent the spread of COVID-19 and help each other stay as healthy and safe as possible. Really, we're all in this together. We want to continue to support, and be there for one another. Our staff, students, families, and school communities certainly supported us and adapted to our changing circumstances in the spring, and we know that will continue throughout school startup and throughout the fall. And when we meet our students and we're going to meet them where they're at in their learning and support them in their transition to a new grade level. But really, there's lots of work to be done between now and then, because we're making adjustments and changes to our routines. But I know that I guess I feel really positive that we are able to that we'll be able to do that in the fall.
Well, just as we know that this is going to be a back-to-school period in September, unlike any other, we also know that the run-up to that has a lot of moving parts in August. So we greatly appreciate you taking some time for us today, Paul. Thanks so much for joining us on Telile 24/7.
Thank you, Adam. Take care.
All right, you too. Paul Landry is the Executive Director for the Strait Regional Centre for Education. We have been speaking to him at his office in Port Hawkesbury via Zoom.